Hey guys, the one and only here, and this is the Galaxy S10 Plus. This phone definitely sets the bar extremely high in the smartphone market. It's also positioned so strategically, being rolled out in early 2019, that begs the question, how will Samsung's competitors retaliate? This is the phone to beat this year if Samsung's competitors want to be crowned king of smartphone for 2019. I feel like the S line of Samsung phones has always been thrown in the dark, and most of the spotlight has been on the Note series, and now with Samsung's catastrophic PR disaster with their Galaxy Fold that was delayed, it seems like the S10 and S10 Plus are here to set the bar in terms of how complete our smartphones can really be. Today, we'll look over at concrete facts since there are several changes to the S10, so buckle up because I'm really excited to review this phone. Let's jump straight in. Now real quick, just want to give you guys a quick unboxing. We do get the S10 Plus in the fairly attractive packaging, looking almost ominous and mysterious. On the left side, we have Samsung Galaxy branding. On the bottom, we have serial number information and nothing much going on the right hand side or the top. On the back, we will get our contents of our box as well as additional information regarding your brand new shiny device. Peel off the little sticker on the back or be a boss and cut it open with one of those things used to flip over and impale steak or chicken at a barbecue, and you'll be presented with the stunning Galaxy S10 Plus in its black tray and all its glory. Set that off to the side, and inside we get a good mix of accessories. We got our obligatory charging brick that is a 15-watt travel adapter. This wall charger includes fast charge, which Samsung dubs adaptive fast charging, which is pretty standard for 2019 phones unless you're a certain company that makes its customers purchase additional cables and adapters in order to quick charge out of the box. I'm looking at you, Apple. We do also get a USB-A to USB-C cable used to sync and charge your new phone. We also have an AKG headset with a 3.5mm connector, which is nice to have, and I've heard nothing but good things about this headset. Also, we get this tiny cube, which was kind of mysterious to me at first, but turns out it's a USB connector in case you need to transfer data from older Galaxies. So the S10 starts at $899. And mostly overshadowed by the bigger S10 Plus coming in at $999 for the entry-level storage price. And you'll also have another option, that being the S10e at $749. So it seems Samsung finessed Apple's own product strategy in releasing two flagship phones which are in essence the same. The only main differentiating factor is better cameras and a bigger display, while also having a more affordable model, and I say affordable real loosely here, coming in at $749. The S10 and S10 Plus have a plethora of new features. However, it is missing that new feature. You know, the feature where it folds. That's reserved for the coveted, yet controversial, Galaxy Fold, which I was planning to review, but got delayed until the next month. Guess Samsung decided to fold their cards and wait for this PR disaster to subside. But we didn't come for the Galaxy Fold, or actually, some of you did, since even I was hyped to make that video, yet here we are. Let's go into the nerdy nitty-gritty about the S10 Plus, because there's a lot of impressive tech going on here. We have a gorgeous 6.4-inch Infinity O display that is 3040 by 1440 resolution with a pixel density of 522 pixels per inch, as opposed to a 6.1-inch display on the regular S10 with the same resolution but a higher pixel density at 550. You may not see it at quick glance, but underneath the glass we have this embedded fingerprint scanner, which I'll touch up on later. The front camera is going to be a 10 megapixel dual pixel camera with an f1.9 aperture on the S10. But on the Plus, we have an additional camera, that being an 8 megapixel RBG depth camera with an f2.2 aperture. On the back, we have what is trying to run photographers out of business with an array of camera sensors that personally makes me feel a little uneasy with all these cameras. I don't know if it's the NSA or whatever. All I know is, from now on, I'm not putting on my blinkers while driving anymore so that the government doesn't know my next move. Anyway, on both models, we have a 16 megapixel ultra wide camera with an f2.2 aperture, a 12 megapixel dual pixel wide angle sensor at an f1.5 and f2.4 aperture, and lastly a 12 megapixel telephoto lens with an f2.4 aperture. Internally is where we see even more magic. We have the Qualcomm Snapdragon 855, which is is a powerhouse in terms of performance, and by the way, shout out to Qualcomm for settling their dispute with Apple, and also shout out to all who owned Qualcomm stock prior to the settlement. I know your pockets are loaded, so hit me up for my birthday for real. In terms of RAM, we get 8 gigabytes, your choice of 128 gigs of storage or 512. If you opt for the 512 gig, you also have the option of getting 12 whole gigs of RAM. You can also upgrade your micro SD up to a whopping 512 gigs of additional storage. And we have a very impressive battery at 3400 milliamp hours for the S10, and the S10 Plus bests that with a 4100 milliamp hour battery, which will be needed since now we have the cool new power share feature, which again I'll brush up on later. Samsung came into the whole notch approach quite interestingly with the S10 and decided to work with a hole punch design as opposed to the horrendous bezels that can be found on the likes of the iPhone XS and other smartphones. This aspect of the design is purely up to the user whether they dig it or not. I find it much more attractive than having a notch at the top, but in actuality, my XS Max has been my daily driver and now I'm used to the notch. It doesn't bother me at all. Only thing that may put people off about the hole punch design is that it's not symmetrical. In which case, you can actually turn the hole punch off by going to settings and then hitting display and full screen apps. However, what this will do is make it seem like your S10 has a big old 5 head and now has this huge black bar at the top. Kind of extra for such a small hole, don't you think? A better option is to simply disguise it. There's so many creative wallpapers out there that make the notch blend in perfectly. Doing a simple Google search for hidden S10 hole punch wallpaper will bring up some interesting wallpapers, but other than the hole punch, the design is largely unchanged. The 6.4-inch infinity display is just a marvel to look at, and the screen to body ratio is absolutely flabbergasting, leaving very little room for those pesky bezels. It introduces a near edge-to-edge look that stretches from top to bottom and isn't for people with small hands, as in the hands, that 6.4-inch screen looks and feels massive thanks to the impressive display technology. What I personally think is neat is that while the S10 Plus does have facial recognition, it isn't as good as Apple's Face ID, and some tests have shown that the S10 Plus can be tricked to unlock with a photograph, which differs from Apple's Face ID that maps your face using a 3D technology, so as 2D images of your face cannot be used to unlock your trap phone. So in other words, if you have a crazy girlfriend and you got the S10 or S10 Plus, just watch it back, man. However, what is nice is all the important sensors are neatly tucked away, hidden from view, behind the super vibrant AMOLED display. One last secret behind the display is the addition of the ultrasonic fingerprint sensor, also used to unlock your phone. If facial recognition isn't cutting it for you, just use the thumbprint sensor. It's invisible and makes the phone look all the more futuristic. Just a quick side note about the S10 display. Guys, when I say it's gorgeous, this display is jaw-dropping. Samsung's own brand manager has even said, "Our screens are so good, our competitors are even using them." And it's true, the S10's display panel looks extremely crisp and has been crowned the most accurate display on the market. I'll attest to this claim. It's really smooth. The S10 does come in the same colors as the larger S10 Plus, with the Plus having a couple more options. We have our classic Prism White and Prism Black, as well as some bougier options including Flamingo Pink, Prism Blue, Ceramic White, and Ceramic Black, with the ceramic versions being featured on the plus sizes only. I kinda wish I would have gone with one of the more flashier colors, since I feel this one is just too bland and boring, but nevertheless, I'm glad we have a good array of color choices to make our own statement. Moving on to cameras, this is a big selling point on smartphones nowadays. Tech companies love praising that smartphone cameras are inching closer and closer to studio-like photography. When it comes down to the S10 and S10 Plus, I must say they're very impressive, but certainly won't be replacing your DSLR anytime soon. The S10 and the S10 Plus have a key difference that isn't as transparent as simply just a bigger screen size. That being that the Plus features an additional 8 megapixel depth sensing front-facing camera for those Snapchat selfies that are just waiting to be posted for the gram. Girls, in conclusion, if you want that Twitter or IG model status, the S10 Plus is the way to go for sure. Both phones have software specific features to achieve that portrait mode effect, but the S10 only achieves this by software, while the Plus has a physical camera there to aid in the process, which allows for portrait selfies to be magnified in clarity twofold. The background effects on the S10 Plus just seem to be more natural and not as heavily digitized and edited as per the software portrait on the S10, but that's only for the front camera. On the back, the camera array remains consistent. The rear camera allows for ultra wide shots, and I find that the colors are almost dead on. What else did you expect by having 3 cameras back there? Another new and impressive feature that I think all 2019 smartphones should come standard with is called power sharing. But before I go there, let me first discuss the batteries in the S10 and S10 Plus. The battery overall is definitely above average, lasting me a good majority of the day while still having a decent amount of juice at the end of the day, and that is with very heavy social media use, YouTube use, and of course, the ever addicting Snapchat streaks. The Galaxy S10 sports an impressive 3400 mAh battery, but that doesn't compare to the S10 Plus gargantuan 4100 mAh. I normally am a big proponent of bigger phones either way, which of course correlates with a bigger battery, but the S10 battery should suffice for most people. Now moving back to the new feature, Power Share is revolutionary. It really is. This new feature allows you to charge up any Qi compatible device. You can use this to charge up your buddy's Android as long as it's Qi enabled, your Samsung Watch, your Galaxy Buds, and even your buddy's Qi enabled iPhones. In essence, what this means is your phone can basically turn into a wireless charger at night. Plug in the phone and set your buds right on top of it. Like, do you think our cavemen ancestors would be just as amazed by this as I am? Cause honestly, I'm low-key caught sideways by this. This shit is amazing. All of these batteries, cameras, and displays are great and all, but what tech enthusiasts like myself want to know is how beefy and powerful the S10 is. Well, I'm glad to let you know that the S10 and S10 Plus both carry the same internal chipset and specs. Qualcomm's 7nm Snapdragon 855 coupled with 8 gigs of RAM makes for a very potent culmination of specs, but how does this translate into the real world? And moreover, how are these specs benchmarked by Geekbench? Well, after some runs, what I found was a Geekbench score of roughly about averaging 10,800, which is actually lower than the Apple iPhone's XS, coming in at about 11,400 on the multi-core side. So while the S10 Plus is technically bested by the iPhone XS, we must remind ourselves that this is only a Geekbench test. Real-world experiences will likely be similar between the two devices, and Geekbench is not the divine messiah that dictates which smartphone is best, but instead gives us a good idea of how these phones will perform under heavy loads. So what is my verdict on the S10 Plus? With the new addition of the S lineup, the S10 marks the 10th anniversary of Galaxy S phones. I think the main reason people love the Galaxy line and Androids in general is just because of the advancement in technology that most Android phones are known for. Not only that, but even I will admit that in terms of innovation, Apple has been severely lacking, and it shows with the most recent release of the XS. Literally, we just about only got the mandatory spec bump, a new gold color, and smarter photography software implementation with Smart HDR. Samsung knows how to do it and really makes you ask, is this the upgrade for me? While other competitors have been lacking on the side of innovation with very slight incremental upgrades year after year, I'm not gonna say no names cause I ain't no snitch. Apple. The S10 is one of those phones that actually may tempt many to upgrade. I feel the S10 is an amalgam of features on other devices brought into one single package that delivers quite well. Couple that with the ease of use and the spectacular cameras, it's no surprise why so many people prefer their Androids over the Apple ecosystem. One aspect that was very incremental was the price hike though. I feel the S10e, which I'll be reviewing shortly after, gets you more value for what you pay. If you do have your eyes set on the S10, why not muster up the additional $100 for a better camera, bigger screen and battery since you're already paying $900 anyway? I don't know, it's just my opinion on it, but it doesn't take away from the fact that this is a really remarkable phone with a plethora of refined features that have made it the success it is today. The ultra beautiful display, in-screen sensors for facial authentication and fingerprint authentication, and wireless power share make it for a very nice upgrade. However, the S10 Plus just has better cameras and the S10e is simply a better value. But I'm not sure. What do you think? Let me know in the comments below, and make sure if you haven't subscribed, make sure you do so right now, as you have just a couple of days to enter my AirPods 2 giveaway, with the winner being announced really soon. giveaways, or comment on my channel, because I feel the support to my channel has been such a blessing, and I can't thank my viewers enough. Don't forget to give this video a thumbs up, and I'll catch you guys real soon for the Samsung Galaxy S10e review real soon. Peace out, guys.